From his early days as a precocious youngster to his more recent struggles, Rory McIlroy has had his share of ups and downs. So let's take a look at some of the worst moments of his career. Rory McIlroy had a chance to cement his place in golfing history when he arrived at the 72nd hole of the 2022 Dubai Desert Classic. He needed just a birdie to clinch the title, but found himself faced with a difficult 265-yard second shot. His decision was made. He would go for the green and putt for a birdie. However, little did he know that his dreams of victory were about to be sunk in a watery grave. The moment Rory made contact with the ball, he knew it wasn't going to carry far enough.
I thought I was going to be the first person to do the race to Dubai in FedEx double, but Stenson, I guess, did it in 2013. So, but it's still a nice little thing to have.
Instead, it found its way into the lake, guarding the green. He had no choice but to accept a bogey, and with it, the realization that he had missed out on a one-shot win by just a single stroke. It was enough to send him into a spiral of despair, but his agony was made ever clearer when rivals Viktor Hovland and Richard Bland decided to go for broke in their playoff. Both ended up eagling on the 18th hole to secure the title.
Put me in better positions to, attack and make birdies. So. It's nearly there. It's not quite there, but I'm making the most of the good shots that I'm hitting and putting well. And
talk about salt in the wound. It was an incredibly cruel moment for Rory, one that no doubt still haunts him to this day. But it just goes to show that even within golf's darkest moments, there is always some light at the end of the tunnel, especially when you think of how his career turned out. In 2009, a young Rory McIlroy declared that the Ryder Cup was not a huge goal of mine and that he wouldn't be going around fist pumping. His comments were met with an icy response from the then Ryder Cup captain Colin Montgomerie, who clarified that it most certainly is not an exhibition. It's easy to see why McIlroy may have been a tad naive in his comments. After all, he hadn't experienced the Ryder Cup for himself yet, and so he couldn't fathom the passion and the emotion that it elicits from players and fans alike. But still, there was no denying it. These words were not going to be taken lightly. Fortunately, McIlroy has since made up for his misstep and is now a vocal advocate of the Ryder Cup. He's had the opportunity to experience firsthand the excitement that comes from competing in a team event and playing for something bigger than yourself, something which he now cherishes deeply.
The person right in front of you birdieing those holes or eagling those holes or whatever it is. So, I felt the pressure of having to answer, and for the most part I did answer, and but I always felt like with the way the back nine is.
He proudly represented Europe at the 2016 Ryder Cup and is set to do the same later this year, where he'll no doubt be fist-pumping his way around the course. But some moments are better forgotten. Rory McIlroy had a chance to close out the 2021 DP World Tour Championship in Dubai with a win and seemed to be on track early on when he struck an incredible drive on the short par 4 15th. Unfortunately, his approach shot ended up in a greenside bunker, and from there it was all downhill. He was unable to recover from the bogey and ended up dropping further shots at the 16th and the 18th holes. In the end, he finished 5 shots behind Colin Morikawa, marking it one of the worst moments of his career. And there are even more awful moments. Rory McIlroy's career took a big hit in 2013 when he withdrew from the Honda Classic after just 26 holes.
And then Memphis next week, you just have to be so sharp around, like East Lake as well next week. So, but it was much better. Pleased with my game, disappointed with how I finished, but encouraged with the rest of it.
He was the defending champion at the time, and many felt that he had an extra obligation to stick it out until the end. To make matters worse, his press team put out a statement saying that he had been suffering from toothache. McIlroy later all but admitted that it was a lie. As one of the most high-profile golfers in the world, the incident caused a huge stir, and it's fair to say that it ranks as one of his worst moments on the course. Thankfully, he learned his lesson and has since stated that it won't happen again. Rory McIlroy had a chance to make Ryder Cup history on the final day of the 2012 Miracle at Medina, but almost didn't even make it out of the clubhouse. Due to an unfortunate mix-up with time zones and a misreading of his itinerary, McIlroy only narrowly made it to his singles match against Keegan Bradley in time. It was a close call, and if McIlroy had been late, he would have caused one of the biggest upsets ever seen in professional golf. Fortunately, McIlroy made it to the course just in time and went on to defeat Bradley 2-1.
If you're just talking about Ryder Cup, like that's not the future of the Ryder Cup team. They've played in probably a combined 25 Ryder Cups, 30 Ryder Cups, whatever it is. it's time that
eventually becoming part of an incredible comeback story for Team Europe. McIlroy's contribution to the Ryder Cup, and particularly his timely arrival on that fateful day in 2012, it has since become a memorable moment in golf and has further cemented McIlroy's reputation as one of the world's top players. It goes to show that even when he messes up, Rory is always able to make the most of a difficult situation. When Patrick Reed faced a two-stroke penalty for moving sand in a bunker during the Hero World Challenge in 2019, it would have been understandable to expect Rory McIlroy to pile on. After all, he and Reed had a famously tense match at the 2016 Ryder Cup and then experienced heartbreak together at the 2018 Masters when Reed ultimately triumphed. But to everyone's surprise, McIlroy actually jumped in to defend Reed against the barrage of criticism he was receiving. McIlroy suggested that some people were eager to kick him while he's down, and he defended Reed. He said that the incident wouldn't have caused such a stir if it had happened to anyone else.
In a way, I always had a complex about length. You know, I wasn't a big kid, and I knew that I needed length all the time, and I needed to be able to hit it harder and hit it longer. I probably created this move from the inside myself.
He also noted that it was hard for him to believe that Reed didn't feel what he had done. Whether you agree with him or not, the statement didn't really win him a lot of fans. In 2013, Rory McIlroy faced a massive controversy when he decided to part ways with Horizon Sports Management, the company of his close friend and fellow golfer Graham McDowell. The move was seen as a breach of contract by Horizon, and they threatened to sue McIlroy. Reports at the time suggested that this had caused a rift between the two friends, although McIlroy and McDowell both claimed that the rumors had been exaggerated. However, it seems that something was definitely going on behind closed doors, as McIlroy cryptically commented in a TV interview, "If you want to be in the circus, you have to put up with the clowns." After this, there was a lengthy court battle between McIlroy and Horizon, which ended in 2015, with the sports star settling for £20 million. Thankfully, McIlroy and McDowell were able to patch up their friendship after the dust had settled, and one of his most recent controversies still sticks with him today. In 2017, Rory McIlroy was hit with a wave of criticism after playing golf with Donald Trump. As one of the most prominent figures in sports, many felt that his decision to play golf with someone who has been so publicly criticized for questionable politics was disrespectful. Although McIlroy was quick to point out that just playing golf with someone doesn't mean you endorse their character, but it wasn't enough to quell the criticism.
I think the turning point, you know, it seemed like there was always four of us today that had a chance to win. And I think that the birdie on 14 was really that's what separated.
McIlroy's decision to play with him felt like a step backwards to a lot of fans. Things have changed since then, and McIlroy has become a vocal critic of Trump. So either way, it's a lesson learned, and one that Rory McIlroy will not be forgetting anytime soon. As they say, hindsight is 20/20, and those were the worst Rory McIlroy moments.